welcome to the Monarch Group podcast. This is our first one. We've been talking about this for a long time now. Super excited to get this started. And for the first episode, there's no one better that we need to have on the show than Elizabeth Monarch. How's it going?
Hey, Alex. It's great to be here. You are right. This has been a long time coming. We are so excited to be launching our first podcast for the Monarch Group with Alex and the whole team. Just excited to be the first one on the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely had to be the first one. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about it, but excited to do it now. So I want to jump straight in, learn a little bit more about you. Tell everyone about your background, how you got into real estate.
Well, I always like to say you've got to be a little crazy to do what we do. And I have been in the real estate business for 24 years. I always tell people, wow, I had somebody the other day that said, I've been in the business for 30 years. I said, boy, I'm tracking that way. However, it's been a fantastic 24 years. Of course, you personally know, and a lot of people know, I've had a radio show for 19 years on 970. But the important part to know about being in the business this long is I had to start somewhere. I've gotten here, and there's been a lot of experiences that I've had. Now, my hair is back in a clip right now, which I know I look half bald. I said that to you beforehand. But I like to tell people, I do have a little bit more gray hair, but 24 years, grew up in the real estate industry, swore I would actually never go into real estate. And here I am. After I got my MBA, I got my real estate license while I was getting my MBA at Bellarmine. And I like to tell people I only did auctions during those first 5 years. And then as I started meeting people in the Louisville area, people were like, hey, can you help me buy and sell? And really, that's how it kicked off.
That's a great history, and I know we've talked about it a bit before. But you've your first introductions into real estate. It was I know you've got some great memories of you and Kristen being at the auctions and helping out. Like, how was that experience?
I will say this. I'm going to smile and say I'm grateful for those experiences. But growing up in the auction industry, I always told people I never wanted to be an auctioneer and I never wanted to be a teacher. And here I am. I am an auctioneer and I'm coaching and training on a day-to-day basis. So it's funny how God just kind of brings you back full circle. But I will tell you, at age 6 years old, I was hauling boxes out, putting them on tables for my father to auction, and I thought it was horrible as a child. You're 6 years old getting up at 6 a.m. and having to go. However, he always gave me an unlimited tab because he would have people there selling hot dogs and donuts and candy, and he would say the auction labor got to eat whatever they wanted. So that's really how I got paid, was I was excited that I could have donuts and hot dogs and candy. And I'm thinking, maybe my dad was a lot smarter than I give him credit for.
He knew how to get you there. He knew what was going to be the selling fact. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that the auction side of it, having that background, because not many real estate agents have that auctioneer's background, and it gives you a different perspective on real estate, which does help through to residential real estate as well.
Well, and I think with that, oftentimes people say, Elizabeth, in such a short amount of time you've been selling real estate, you have a lot of experience that you actually bring to the table. And, you've heard me say over the years, we've sold car washes, commercial buildings, industrial buildings. And, this past week we were out in the Jeep going over 100+ acre farm, looking at how to subdivide it. So it does bring a different perspective in terms of real estate and the variety of different real estate that we can sell.
And that definitely helps, because I know I've been on presentations with you for residential, and they're like, well, what experience do you have with land? Well, actually, we have a ton of experience because of all the auctions that we do. So when you first got licensed, you were an individual agent. How was that going from a solo agent, creating a team, and how did that come about?
Well, and I do get asked that a lot. And what I have noticed is over the last 2 decades, the real estate industry has gone through a lot of large shifts. We have seen the shift of agents wanting that collaboration, wanting to be in an environment where they can succeed and help others succeed. And I will say, being a solo agent 24 years ago is not not like it is now. I will say this: I really don't know how some agents do it, because this career is a very demanding career, and in terms of time, in terms of your calendar, in terms of your life. And I believe 24 years ago, now, Alex, you aren't going to believe this, but this is when we used to hand deliver offers. They didn't have electronic signing. And that's when, the super boxes, we still had some form of that. But things were done so differently. Now, we did have the MLS. I'm not going to be like that archaic.
You went in the books where it was all written down?
Not in the books. Now, asking my husband, that's a different story. But the way we did business back then, and you have to realize, a dollar was worth more 24 years ago, right? So, I mean, and when you take the real estate industry and move it up 2 decades in this type of environment, I truly believe that a team, some form of team aspect is the best way to go. And when I say that, because with the real estate industry changing so much, that I help so many people build teams, dissolve teams, rebuild teams, and oftentimes why people are on a team is just for a variety of different reasons.
It definitely helps. I mean, as a new agent, when I joined the team, it's that level of support as well to make sure that you are giving the best to your clients. Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is giving the best to your clients. And, individual agents can do it. But for me, I definitely found that expertise that I felt like I was giving my clients the best because I was like, I've got the backing of the team.
Absolutely. Well, and oftentimes agents will come to me and say, I want to create a team because I want to make more money. Well, that just makes me laugh. And I'm like, why don't we have a cup of coffee? Because oftentimes I believe that when people want to start teams in the real estate industry, I truly feel like, for me personally, the reason I chose to build a team is because of that level of service, like you just mentioned, because I felt like I could help others grow their business, and create an environment that people could grow their business underneath the umbrella, underneath the brand, and also be able to help my clients and my past business. Because, the longer you're in the business, you want to do a lot of things. And it's very hard because this business is so demanding of your time that, if a client calls, that routine. If a buyer calls, you got to be able to show it. And being able to jump like that still allows me to be able to do the things that I want to do, and to be able to help other people.
Yeah, and not say no to our clients.
Absolutely.
We like to be yes people, so that's what we try
Well,
and do.
and what's so interesting is, we just helped a first-time home buyer get under contract, and they chose to work with us, and they said, you know what, one of my best friends is in real estate, but she told me she didn't have time to help me. And I looked at our client and I said, well, are they a solo agent? And she said, yes. So oftentimes that's what people don't see, is that when you are a solo agent, you have to back off and pick and choose. And I just don't believe that. I don't ever want to be in that position, and I don't want people on our team to be in that position, because we are here to help each other.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that. And now, how many years has it been for the team?
The team, actually, believe it or not, I had to answer that question the other day. We formed the Elizabeth Monarch Group, Inc. in 2015.
10 years.
10 years, actually, as a corporation. Okay. And then obviously the team, we started the team a lot sooner than that. But then when I felt like I was actually running a business, I thought, boy, I need to be using that MBA. So that's when I created the actual company.
So 10 years now it's been. What would you say makes us stand apart from other teams that are out there?
Well, one, I do believe that our value proposition of our marketing and what we bring to the table. In addition, I really feel like we bring the value of walking our clients through that process and not telling them what they want to hear. There are a ton of fantastic realtors in this market in the state of Kentucky, but I truly feel like what separates us is our marketing and our branding and what we can bring to the table with our database and with our way that we market properties. And we always have a strategy. We don't just come in and just take the listing. We have a strategy of the communication, and I tell people, you know, keeping the deal together and negotiating and being able to get it to the closing table is absolutely everything. And I really feel like when I go back and I look at 2025, we have had very few transactions that have not gotten to the table. And that's been one of our key successes, I believe, this year.
Yeah. And there's a lot of those where it's not been for anything we could have done differently. As us and our
Correct.
clients, we've done everything, and it's things that are outside of our control. And the other aspect of that is the experience. So as a team, there's not many situations that one of us hasn't been through, which definitely reflects into what's going on in the moment in the market, which has been so difficult. The experience really makes a big difference for us.
Well, and just like the other day, we had a situation on a house in Crescent Hill, and my client, we needed a plumber out there immediately because the water heater burst the day before the property was going to go on the market. You know what? We work with affiliate partners, and the next day the water heater was getting installed. And that is, to me, that is priceless, and that is good relationships. That is building a good business.
Yes, absolutely. And it's when the client comes, obviously frantic with a calm head, it's like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get it taken care of. And that makes everyone a lot more at ease.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So swapping from residential to auction. Obviously, there's some situations where you might not know going on an appointment what's going to be best. What would you say is more of an ideal auction rather than going for a residential sale?
Well, that's a great question. And we work with a lot of attorneys, and we look at a lot of properties, some that have already been listed and some that have not been listed. But prime example this week, we had a great referral from an agent outside of the Louisville market. A family member passed away. His family member has been appointed as executrix. And they said, you know what, Elizabeth, Lonnie, we want you to go look and give them the best advice possible. We don't know if the property needs to be listed or if the property needs to be auctioned. What they do know, so one, you've got a situation where it's an estate. We do a lot of estate, a lot of divorce work, a lot of land, a lot of farms where, we have the farm I just mentioned had been on the market, and the biggest issue with that is they've already put a price on it, and that farm really needs to be subdivided. So oftentimes it's very difficult for a realtor to come in and really know how to deal with a surveyor, know how to deal with the roads, know how to plot the property off that's the most desirable to be able to bring the most people to the table and to maximize that dollar amount. So a lot of times I like to explain to people when we're going in to figure out what is the best situation to auction or to list, really, we know in 10 minutes on the phone if we need to figure that out in a meeting or if they need to list it. Now, a lot of our clients are moving out of town, and their property is in a subdivision. There's not that it's not a unique home, but it more than likely needs to be listed. With an auction, when you have an estate, you have a lot of equity, there's no money owed, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Oftentimes, an auction is the best solution. We've had some, I know last year we had one over off New Cut. I would have never dreamed that property would have ever sold for that price. And I'm really glad that we chose to auction it, because if we hadn't have, I truly believe we would have left money on the table for the seller, because I would have listed it for like $90,000 and it sold for like $160 at auction. Wow. But we had never put a price on it. So really, when agents ask me and realtors say, Elizabeth, how do you know? I always say there is no really special secret sauce. It really is a combination of experience. When I have people that say, I want to get in the auction business, I'm like, you know what? Why don't you become a realtor first? It's a lot easier to be a realtor than an auctioneer, because it's almost like a crock pot method. And not all auctioneers are the same, just like realtors. I tell people I don't have to get up on the auction block to hear myself bid call. We're here to do what is best for the client.
That makes a big difference, and that's definitely the important part. So with auctions, there's a lot of people say there's different misconceptions out there about auctions. What would you say are the most common ones that you hear?
Oh, it's going to sell for nothing. Oh, what am I going to do for $1? Oh, it's like they think of foreclosure auctions. And I will tell you, my father has spent 40 years of his career educating. And really, that is what we do in the auction business, is we spend a lot of time educating clients on what is the best route to dispose of their property. You oftentimes, outside of what my family says, the big city, Louisville, outside of the metropolitan Louisville, Lexington, you typically will see a lot more real estate auctions. And that is a very common way to dispose of a piece of property. So I think, oftentimes people will say, oh, your property's going to auction. What's wrong? What's happened? And really, a lot of people choose that auction method because we are able to target that marketing and do what it takes a realtor in 6 months. We do it in a 3-week period, and we really drum up that activity and that excitement.
That makes sense. And I think the more that people attend the auctions, the more they learn about it and see that it can be a beneficial situation. And it's like you said, it's situational and depending on the setup of the house, of the land. And I will say, as I've attended a lot of your auctions on the land ones, those are always my favorite to see how it's all divided and split up. And it's, takes some creativity to do that, which is definitely a testament to you and your background in the auction world, that you know exactly what's going to be best. And even finding a survey, I mean, I know that's hard enough.
That is not easy. And I tell you what, right now we've got another situation where we're dealing with a pretty rough survey. And the surveyor, I don't necessarily, not that he didn't know what he was doing, because I don't know but I do know about land division. And, we scratch our heads and think, wow, I can't believe an owner did this. And that's the biggest thing, is sometimes you have owners who are like, oh, I want my farm to be a development. I'm thinking, do you know the cost of a development and the planning and the zoning and the plumbing and the electric and all of that? Where the biggest thing is if there's anybody that does have a family farm or a farm, whatever you do, talk to an expert before you start trying to put it together and hire a surveyor, because we've also had to try to undo, which is very difficult. But to find a good surveyor is not an easy task. Just like an appraiser, there's so much training that goes into that industry now.
And that's where experience makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've spoken about your residential real estate team, your auction side. Well, people might not know that you're also the broker of EXP Kentucky. What does that day-to-day look like for you?
Oh, Alex, what a great question. I will tell you, it's actually been a true blessing to be able to be the principal broker for EXP over the past 4 years. I've got a fantastic broker team. We've got a fantastic staff at EXP. I tell people, not only are we on the forefront of AI and technology in the real estate industry, it is truly the only company that is offering endless opportunities for agents. I mean, there is just so much that an agent can grow their business, that you could spend 5 years and still just be like, I can't believe that I didn't know about this that you all offer. And as the broker, oftentimes that's where I get a lot of great coaching moments. I get called darling a lot, people that think that they know everything about real estate. And it's really actually been a very humbling experience. And I say that because when you think that I love sales, I love my people. And when I say I love my past clients, I mean, I love my agents, because I know when they're calling me, they truly need help and they need guidance, because I oftentimes think back to my first broker and how fantastic she was and how she always took my call. She always walked me through. And then she finally said, you know what, Elizabeth, I'm not worried about you. I do think coming from a legal family and just having that anxiety of wanting to make sure things are right, which as a broker, that I would say the biggest challenge is I don't have a lot of room for error. Because when the buck stops with you, you've got to make sure you have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. What I love the most is being able to do the coaching and the training. Now, all the legal stuff, that's never a dull moment, which I will say this does, in my professional opinion, I believe it makes me a better realtor. Because I'm always trying to think, okay, we got to think through this. here is what's going on. I mean, we just sold a property in Oldham County, and I told the buyer's agent, I said, look, I want your buyer to do this because I don't want this to come back after the closing. It'll protect you. It'll protect everyone. And she said, man, Elizabeth, it's great to hear you say that because not a lot of agents think that way. And I said, well, I'm actually thinking like a broker, but it's been an honor. I mean, we have over 620 agents in the state. So I've learned a lot just about real estate throughout the state of Kentucky.
And that definitely helps translating through to the residential and the auction side. I know you wear a lot of hats with EXP. Another thing that you're also heavily involved in is KYR being at the Kentucky state level. How do you see across EXP, state, and KYR, how is that affecting the industry, or what changes are going on in the industry at the moment?
Well, really, I mean, on the sales side, we all know, and I was just actually in Bowling Green the last couple of days and met with quite a few realtors down there and was getting a pulse of what's going on in their market. And I think across the board, nationwide and statewide, what you're seeing is rates are not really helping, right? I mean, and values are continuing to go up. And you are seeing some values that are leveling off. I would say, that's probably been the biggest challenge. However, you can contest to this. I feel like we're as busy as we were in 21. I mean, we're busy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
We have stayed very fortunate with our clients, and we've been very diligent with our follow-up and really just helping our clients navigate through a lot of the life challenges right now. And that is with relocation, that's with interest rates, that's with investment property. I will say the big, beautiful bill is a positive note for our investors out there. They can really, if you haven't talked to your CPA, talk to them about, the bonus depreciation that is in the bill that got passed. And especially as an entrepreneur, it's great, looking at cars, being able to write those off. And then also the SALT tax. That's huge. That's huge, I think, for our consumers, people that want to buy a second home. That was capped at $10,000. The big, beautiful bill has raised that to $40,000. I think that's going to help quite a few people. I'm trying to be positive in terms of how that affects real estate and what we're seeing statewide. I do think in 2025, one of the biggest obstacles we have faced here in the state is all of the disasters. I mean, from, London, Kentucky to the floods. I mean, we have just really been hit hard. And now we are in, quote unquote, tornado alley. We have had a lot of issues and challenges that have come up with properties throughout the state and keeping properties together. I believe that's been one of the biggest challenges we have had statewide is navigating and continuing to deal with the devastation that we've had with the real estate, with the lack of supply. I mean, in certain areas, we still have a lack of supply, and it is amazing, that, boy, you can't stretch your dollar as much as you could 20 years ago either.
Yeah, and there's a lot of insurance companies actually pulling out of Kentucky now, isn't there?
There is, and something that has been scratching my head, and I've talked to a couple insurance people, and of course, Paul Sagan has been a guest on my show many times, is in regards to roofs and the roofs being over 10 years old. So, I mean, I encourage people, and I need to say this more, get out that insurance policy and look at what your coverage is on your roof and quote, air quotes, flooding. I mean, that's the biggest key is people think, oh, I have water in my basement. Well, that doesn't mean that you're covered.
And when it comes to taking care of some of those things, give your agent a call as well, because we've got people for anything. And that's the thing. There's a lot of, not to call them scalpers, but a lot of different roofing companies that have popped up over the last few years. And please call people that you know, and we definitely recommend that. And we have people that we recommend for that.
Well, and that's really kind of always been our motto is we want to be your realtor for life. I just had recently a client that his son is having his grandson, and he was involved in purchasing his first home, and it was 25, 26 transactions that I've helped that family. You've helped, the distant cousins that got married and we sold their house, this spring. I mean, it's amazing because I tell people, it's more than a transaction to us. And what really separates us apart is, sometimes I feel like I care more than my clients, which, I guess is good because we love what we do and it's not just about the transaction. Of course, we're running a business. This is how we put food on the table, but it's really about helping that client and listening to their needs and not pushing them into a property and just making sure that we are always keeping our clients on the forefront of the transaction.
Absolutely. And especially at closing, I always make sure to say at every closing, I'm like, my job doesn't stop here. This is not the end of my job. You call me anytime for anything you need. You make a call. And that's
absolutely
something that we always pass on to our clients.
Yes.
So moving from the state level, going more local now, what makes Louisville such a great place at the moment for buyers and sellers in Louisville?
Well, I think there's a lot of options here in the Jefferson County and surrounding county areas. If you want, depending on the schools, depending on, if you want to live, work, eat all in the same area. I mean, they need to be checking out our YouTube, right? We've got so many different hidden gems from Crescent Hill to the Highlands to Norton Commons. I mean, there is just so many options, I believe, in the Louisville area. But not only that, I mean, you can't beat it. We've got Churchill Downs. We've got a great nightlife down in 4th Street Live and Nulu. We've got a huge conference center. We've got UPS. We've got so many large corporations that are continuing to choose to work in Kentucky. We've got the bourbon industry, which has brought in a lot of growth in the Bardstown area. And in addition to that, what I tell people is we've got the airport. You've got international. I mean, it's so easy. You don't have to drive to Nashville if you want. Maybe if you want to go to Cincinnati, but Louisville really is what I truly believe the heartbeat of the state of Kentucky. We have so much industry, a variety of industry. And I tell people, I am not a Louisville native. I've been here for many, many years, but I used to say it's the city of dreams. And people would laugh at me and say, seriously, Elizabeth? But I'm like, it is, because you can come, you can raise a family. It is very family oriented. You can have, the parks are amazing here. I mean, you really have it all within a 20 to 30 minute drive. And if not, you can jump on an airplane and you can be in Boston or you can be in Miami. I mean, you could, travel the world right here out of Louisville.
Yeah, so. I completely agree. As someone who's obviously not from Louisville or America, it's definitely a great place to be, and it's just there's so many different things you can do. It's such a diverse city, and it's just it's the small town big city feel that I really love.
Absolutely.
About being here. And then outside of Louisville, going back to real estate, favorite part of the job?
Oh, great question.
You can't say helping clients because that is obviously our number one. So something that might not often be
my
thought of.
favorite part of the job in terms of building my career. Whoa, that I could go so many different directions because I've absolutely loved building my career. And I never thought that that I would have enjoyed it as much. I'm very fortunate that my husband does encourage me to slow down because I think I could do some form of work in this industry if it's not on EXP or the team or auctions or if it's not, KYR or NAR, National Association of Realtors. I would say my favorite part of, and sometimes what I miss is really having my clients in the car and showing them homes. I never really got into, the decorations of the home. And I know, and I say that with air quotes because so many people say, I love homes. I want to get in real estate. And I was like, something must seriously be wrong with me because I'm always looking at the roof, the HVAC, how much money is it going to cost? They got to make sure they have enough savings because part of that and getting my clients in the car was just part of building that relationship and getting to know them, getting to find out, what's their favorite food, how many children, where are they from? And it was really about, just getting to know the client and then helping them and seeing their face when they walked in, and it's like I just would know. And now I feel like after 24 years of experience, if I'm in a car with somebody and I show them 5 homes, I'm gonna have a real good idea of what's gonna work and what's not gonna work. Now, they're the one choosing it, but I also it's that face that I see when they walk in. I'm like, this is it. I mean, this is going to be the home. This is the home they're going to want to write on. And I think that's, to me, is one of the favorite parts of my career.
Yeah, it's that energy and the vibe. You just feel the shift in energy with a property that's not for them and that is for them. So can definitely agree with that. Now, there's one thing I will say. I disagree with what you said when it comes to decor, unless it's around Valentine's Day, because I know
that's my favorite holiday.
That's
yes,
the one.
Yes, it's insane. My house is absolutely crazy at Valentine's Day. My friends are like, "You have lost your mind," and I'm like, "It's one of my favorite holidays, and it makes me the happiest for sure." But I will say, that brings back a lot of great memories. You asking me that, what I love most about my career, because that just with all the clients that I've helped over the years, it's absolutely amazing.
And it's tough because we are so busy, especially you with how many different things you do, to actually take a step back and reflect on all the things that have happened and that you've done. And it's definitely, there's a lot of good memories in real estate and a lot of good times. It's seeing happy
Absolutely.
people's faces is priceless. It's very worth it.
And I will say, that brings me up. I'll never forget when I was telling my uncle, who helped me out a lot early on in my career. He said, now Sarah Elizabeth, because my first name's Sarah, he'd say, now tell me what have you learned the most in the business? And at that time I was 24 years old, and I'm thinking I've only been doing this 2 years. And I said, I think the number one advice I would give anyone that's in my position is they need to be saving money for taxes.
Yes.
And that was probably that's when it dawned on me that, I really wanted to help people in this business and make really good decisions. And oftentimes I will have people that'll say, Elizabeth, why have you stayed in the real estate industry? And I think what helps keep me in this business is I can remember seeing my grandfather farm his whole life. And, that's really, he farmed, he prayed for rain, and he worked day in and day out. When the sun came up, he was out there before the sun came up. He didn't come in till the sun came down. And I know what he was doing. And he helped build wealth and change his family's life. And, I tell people, when you have that first time home buyer that walks in that property and you say, they never, they look at me and they say, Elizabeth, I never dreamed that I would have my own home. I never dreamed that I would be able to bring my children into a home that I own. And I know from that point forward, we have made a difference, because that right there has changed the entire trajectory of that entire family tree. And people don't realize that. That's what real estate does for them and their families, because it will change that child's life, knowing that child will grow up saying, I'm going to own my own home. They will never think about renting. They're going to be like, I want to own my own home because I remember my mom, I remember my dad, I remember my parents buying their first home. And that, to me, now looking back, is why I stay in this business.
And you definitely translate that passion into your day-to-day. I see that on a day-to-day. Everything you've coached me, I see that on a day-to-day. And it's very rewarding and lovely to see when people are happy in their safe space at the end of the day.
Yes.
So even though you love real estate, if you were not in real estate, what would you be doing?
You know what? That's a great question. 2 things.
Is it basketball?
No, not basketball, but I do miss coaching my son, which all my sons are out of the house and in their 20s. I always say, if I go back, now EXP offers residual income, which is fantastic. I always tell people I wish EXP had been here 24 years ago, because then I would probably have the liberty to be able to choose what I want to do. But I'm fortunate that I love what I do. Looking back, I think insurance for sure, because of the residual income. But I think my passion would probably be public speaking and coaching and training. And, being on stage and really trying to impact and make the most difference. And I think so many people in our industry want to do that. And I think that you can tell the difference of a very successful agent, because it's their heart. and they want to help, and then they get to the point where they just want to continue to help as many people as possible through different avenues, either through being a broker or being an auctioneer or being a realtor or volunteering. I mean, you volunteer for the guild and give so much time and energy, but you're passionate about that, and that flows into everything that you do in your life. So
I could see you doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see those, especially the on stage and stuff. And
that means you got to sell seats, and I would be nervous because I don't know if anybody would show up.
People would definitely. If you were putting something out there, people would show up.
I hope so. I hope
hey,
so.
I don't know. I could see us having a conversation in a few years. We're like, Alex, I'm getting up on stage and teaching some stuff, and
I've been in front of a large stage before, in a variety of different capacities. But yes, I think I would enjoy that. For sure.
I could see that.
Yes.
So final few words for anyone who's looking to get into the market right now, buyers, sellers, what do they need to know? Well,
number one for a buyer, I'm going to say don't get scared with the current interest rate. You need to talk to our affiliate lenders and let them look at your whole picture. And here's why I say that, Alex, because I will tell a home buyer right now, even if they're thinking about selling and buying or just they don't own something, is that, by the time you look at all your debt, if you take student loans, if you take your car debt, if you take credit card, and you look at that type of interest rate that you're paying, and then you talk to somebody like Chad or Selena, and they can give you a whole picture about, wrapping all that up and saying, you know what, maybe we could pay that off, take that 18% down to, 6.5%. They're going to be able to give that home buyer a full-blown picture, and that is really going to be the key. So I tell home buyers, don't get nervous when you see 7%. Talk to a lender and let them look at your whole financial picture, because what they're going to might be able to do is take a lot of that cumulative debt, and you might actually be saving money by buying a home because they're reallocating your debt. And to me, that's what I do believe our message has got to be, because so many people are focused, I'm going to wait till that rate gets down to 5%. Well, guess what? Home values are not slowing down. I mean, I was just looking, in Norton Commons, they have over 20 homes over $1 million. I'm like, where are we going to find the people to buy these homes? Values are going to have to slow down. Yes. And people's incomes have to go up, right? That needs to happen. But I would say, for our home buyers, pick up the phone and call, because you don't know what you don't know. And I tell you, I picked up the phone on Monday morning and called Selena and said, hey, I need you to run the numbers on this, because I'm looking at an investment property. And I was nervous because I'm thinking, she was like, Elizabeth, it's not going to be as much as you think. And I said, I know that. I coach people. I tell people that I need to take my own advice. So I would say that to home buyers. Home sellers, you better wake up. We are not in a 2020 market. You need to paint that wall. You need to declutter. You need to do those little things that you think a buyer is going to pay for. They will not. You need to power wash. You need to make sure that front yard and everything looks immaculate. And you need to make sure that your house is right on point when you put it on the market, because you no longer can leave that clutter and leave all that stuff in the garage, because buyers are scrutinizing everything. And you know what may cost you $1,000, a buyer is going to want a $5,000 concession on. So I'm telling all of our sellers, you know what? Do the best you can do, but you need that house looking like just a diamond when it hits the market.
Yep, and I would agree with everything there. One of the tips that I would add, and you've talked about a lot, is just make sure you're right on that pricing as well, because anything that's even slightly overpriced, and it's a tough time.
It is. And I will say to a seller, if you're not talking to us, if you're talking to a realtor, you need to make sure you have a game plan, and you don't need to let that property sit too long at that price, because I'm already starting. We've had some that have been on the market for 90 days, and agents are calling saying, why is this still on the market?
Mm-hmm. Wait, so you're saying they shouldn't listen to their neighbor or go to Zillow for that?
No, don't.
Never.
Never.
But also, appreciate all of that information. How's the best way that people can get hold of you, get hold of the Monarch Group? What's the best way?
Well, the best way they can get a hold of us is go to our website at monarchgroup.homes. They need to check out our little tab at the top on events. We've got some fantastic events. We're always doing events at the Monarch Group. We've got a Google review. If there's anybody out there that wants to sign up, we're giving away an Apple Watch, an Apple or a flat screen TV, or a gift card to Home Depot. So, I mean, they need to give us a Google review. So that is the best place to get a hold of us, is go to our website.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on our show. You're amazing. It's a privilege to be on a team with you. And
I'm pumped that we're kicking this off and can't wait to see all the fabulous guests we have. So, Alex, thank you for taking the lead on this. So grateful for you. And I hope that, people will call us if they need us.
Yes. And for anyone watching out there, keep tuned into this space. We're going to have more episodes coming. Appreciate you watching.